I still find it shocking that so many elders in my family, in my life, people that I know who have so much more life experience than me, they believe, in some cases, truly every single thing that they hear or see on television, specifically on the news. Any perspective of an event, any angle that is provided by the news, they side with that angle and they accept that angle as the objective truth. Um, I'm still surprised by that. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why can I see it? Why can so many other people see it that um, these channels or shows, whatever it is, if it's a news show, whatever it might be, a morning show, um, they're just selling advertising. They're putting the ads up, trying to keep people watching, keep people outraged, keeping people, I guess it's almost like they're making people stay in this state of fear and at the same time making them believe that they are the ones who are here to protect you and inform you to keep you safe. So they keep coming back and they keep getting put in this fear cycle and they keep feeling like this news network, for example, is serving them in some way and giving them information, keeping them informed. And that, in a way, I guess, makes them feel like they're safe. I'm just guessing at all of this. It's all just guesswork because from the outside looking in, and I'll put it like this. I grew up watching hours and hours and hours of television. In my case, when I was a kid, it was like cartoons and kids shows. But part of that was also like the TV was just on in the house. So I would also see the news. And for the majority of my life, I think I also believed in everything that I saw. The majority of my childhood, I guess. I believed everything that I saw on the news as well. Any perspectives that were provided. Um, and then there was a change when I was a teenager where I stopped, or I don't know, I started to look at things differently. I started to watch and pay closer attention to the perspectives that were being promoted. And I realized, this probably isn't good for me, so I stopped watching TV altogether for a long time. And then I changed my living situation. And in my new space, the person that I was living with had the TV on a lot. So just as a side effect, I would see the news. And I almost got sucked back into all of that shit again. Seriously, I got sucked right back into it. But then I recognized it. And the breaking the cycle and going back into it was a huge lesson for me for just to see how does this affect me as a person. Um, and the best, most general way to say what it is like it lowered my vibration. It made me a more negative person when I got back into that perspective, a more harsh, judgmental person when I thought about other people or certain places. It actually started to work again. The ideas that were being transmitted through the television transmission were reaching my mind. I was adopting them as my own again. And in a weird, it's a slow, subtle, gradual process, but allowing news on television to become part of my daily reality again, I remember that it made everything like it did in a way control my view of the world. Control, influence maybe is a better word, but eventually it feels like control because it does reach the point where it's it's pretty much like your own worldview is tied in with that. It's some sort of trickery, maybe just a weakness that we have as human animals. When we're shown images, we just believe that they're true because, oh, I saw it with my own eyes, so it has to be true. Not realizing that the majority of the message was actually being skewed not only through the words that accompany the images, the narration and the whole story and the whole agenda, the whole angle that they provide, but also the selective images that they show. They don't show you everything. The internet has helped a lot with that. But even now with the internet, it's the same story. There's a lot of people that I know who don't watch TV, but they may as well be watching TV because they're just brainwashing themselves in a sense with information that they find. And I'm not a perfect individual. I'm not completely innocent of this. I'm sure I still do it in some ways where I see something and I believe it to be true just because I saw it, or just because I read it in a book, or just because whatever. But it really is as though there is an information war that is going on. And it's ramping up. Everything is ramping up and everything is accelerating. It's getting worse. It's getting more intense. And this information war. Before it was just TV and maybe, I don't know, newspaper, which seems to be a very ineffective method. But again, I am shocked to still know people, elders, very older, much older people than me, who read the newspaper. And sometimes I see them react with outrage to a story or whatever. The point is, I've learned that in my life, it does not serve me and it makes no sense. It only harms me to allow these transmissions, whether it's in the newspaper, that transmission of information, or if it's in the TV or the internet, to allow transmissions to lower my emotional state to a state of like fear or anger or outrage, to basically kill my vibe in this life. Um, it's ridiculous. It would be ridiculous for me to allow that to happen again. It doesn't make sense. Anyone who is looking at their life clearly would agree that it doesn't make sense to do this. I think of some individuals that I know who might say, and they have said, well, I want to know what's going on in the world. I want to stay informed. And sometimes these individuals are really into the political side of things and following politics very closely. And every time I spend time with these people in physical reality, when we're both in the present moment together, they complain and they bitch and they moan and they complain and it's just this ugly energy that comes out, this ugly energy that they express about politics. And it's like we're trying to be in the moment, or I am trying to enjoy their presence, and maybe we're doing something, we're engaging in an activity of some kind. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just trying to be present and experience this person. And yeah, very simple. I've tried to live a simple existence. But in that present moment, sometimes with certain individuals, it gets to the point where I don't want to spend time with them. I don't want them to be in the present moment with me because they always bring that energy and they're talking about things that aren't even happening. They're talking about stories and perspectives that they have been spoon-fed from various sources of information. And they're complaining and they're saying this is horrible and it's like it's worse than ever and they're just lying. But to me, this isn't news. It shouldn't be news to anyone. We all know that politicians and governments have always lied to us and have always tried to control us, and corporations more intensely, maybe, in the United States. All of these entities that have some kind of power, at least when it comes to money and influence. It's obvious. It's been obvious for a very long time to me. Again, when I was a little child, no, it wasn't obvious, but as soon as I was, I guess, in my teenage years, I kind of figured that out. You can just tell by just through observation alone, without studying anything, without looking up any type of conspiracy documentaries or anything. You can kind of just see what's going on, that this is all bad for us. Um, but the thing I try to communicate to these individuals who always are talking about the politics and they're clearly disturbed by it, and they're not happy. It's a tone that comes across that is, um, it sounds painful. It doesn't sound fun. And I tried to ask them, well, what are you doing about it? What are you doing to change any of this stuff that is driving you crazy, that is really irking you, the stuff that is making you mad? What are you doing to change it? Are you taking any steps to enter into the political world to change the system, or like what's happening here? Are you making any effort at all to change that thing? Or is that something that you never would do? And you remaining engaged with this type of information is something that will only ever drag you down and bring you down and keep you away from experiencing personal joy and happiness in a real way in the present moment on a daily basis. Is that what it is? If so, why do you continue to do it? If you aren't doing anything to change it, or let's say if you're focusing on anything that upsets you, that causes problems, whether it's depression or maybe anxiety or just worry about anything, if you're engaged with information or sources of information that upset you, and again, keep you away from the state of joy and just overall mental and emotional well being in your life, and at the same time, that information or, yeah, that information is something that you can't change at all, and you never will be able to change, and you have no control over it. You're stuck in this loop, and you're basically in hell, or you're falling into hell. You're falling into this state that is just horrific. I've been in it, I've escaped, and I've fallen back into it. Probably a few times. Enough to learn that it's not worth it. It's, you know, it's as simple as just turning that shit off, or stopping accessing, no longer access those sources of information, and it all goes away. And you can focus on your real life, all you can touch and see and feel and hear and taste, and everything that is happening in the present moment that you can reach, that you can access, that you do have some level of control over your situation in life. When you focus on that, everything becomes so much more simple. It's so much easier to regulate your own emotions and thoughts and everything when you don't have this constant feed of other people's thoughts and perspectives that they want you to have for what seems like a pretty sinister reason. But I'm probably just imagining that. They're probably just lying to us and sharing these very specific perspectives of world events and everything like that. They're probably doing it for no reason. There probably is no reason, right? Why would there be a reason? Maybe they just lied to us because it's fun for them. No, I'm joking, of course. I don't think so. It's not good at all. There's nothing good that comes from it, from allowing corporate entities or government entities to brainwash you. Sitting in your living room and just letting that happen, or sitting in front of your computer and just letting that happen, or even worse, voluntarily accessing those sources of information and searching it yourself in the form of maybe reading articles that are just all, it's all the same. It breeds toxic people as well. I've seen two of these people who are very much into this stuff. Again, let's say it's politics is the easy example. Two very political people, and they have some differing opinions. Of course, each one believes that they're absolutely right and the other one is wrong. They get together and it's just like annoying. And of course, yes, there are people who exist that disagree politically and they can get along just fine. But these would be individuals who have a bit more balance in their life, I would assume. But I'm thinking more of those who are just addicted to these specific sources of information. They can't get enough of it, and they just anything that they're told, they believe it's true. You can try to show them. You can try to provide the objective information that isn't biased in either way, and show them, no, this is the truth. Like, this is what the thing is, and they can't even look at it. Like, they can't accept it. They're unwilling to accept it. And they don't always say this, but I often feel like what they're saying is they wouldn't lie to us. My preferred source of information wouldn't lie to me. Why would they lie? Why would the mainstream media lie? They wouldn't lie to us. They wouldn't give us information that would lead to the detriment of our own health. They wouldn't promote products that cause cancer, would they? That doesn't make any sense to me. And they're just stuck in this like fog. And it's sad. And it's really sad because I've learned through experience from probably over 10 years of experience, whether it was through explicitly addressing the issue or trying to subtly steer someone in the right direction, which is away from that information, away from that basically the idiot box or the machine that's the television, for example, that's just brainwashing everybody with advertising and lies and it's very specific narratives about current world events and past world events and people. But I've learned through experience, sadly, that it seems an individual, the individual, is the only one who can, quote unquote, wake up and snap out of it and escape from that. I've tried everything I can, and they can't get out. I can't help them out. I've tried everything. All it does is sort of drag me back down into their space where I'm suffering, and I am now further away from my joy and just overall state of well-being, mental and emotional well-being in my life, because suddenly I'm stuck in that cloud, that fog that they're stuck in, that loop of negativity and negative outlooks and negative perspectives on everything in life. It's a hopeless space that these people are brought into as a result of following very closely mainstream media, mainstream news. And it's just sad. They feel, and they have expressed that they feel that if they were to turn it all off and not watch it anymore, it's like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock p.m. when I would normally watch the news for a half hour or an hour and my programs and all this stuff? What would I do? And how would I know what's going on in the world? It's so sad because these individuals seem like they care more about what's going on in the world outside of them, these places that they have never and never will visit, people they will never meet, things they have no control over. It's as though they care more about that. And news about that stuff influences their emotions and everything more than their actual, real, personal life and the people that are attached to them and everything that's going on. Your own personal life and your relationships with your family and romantic relationships and friends, everything becomes so much more enriched and deeper. The feelings you have for everything in your life, everything becomes more vivid because there isn't all of this wasted thought and emotion on these what are essentially imaginary scenarios, because you have never been to these countries, you have never met these world leaders, you have not been in these places, and you can't do anything to change it. Or, again, going back to what I guess hinted at earlier, if there is something you can do to change it, and you are passionate about these things you see on the news, you should actually take steps to enter that world and make a difference. But if you aren't doing that, if you aren't moving in that direction, and you're just sitting, living a completely separate life from all of that stuff you see on the news, and you let it affect you and bring you down, you need to recognize at some point that you're just stuck in this trap and you aren't even trying to get out. You should try. Try to get out of it. In my case, the realization is that, oh, I really don't care about any of this shit at all. I care about my own life and the lives of people that I love, and growing and learning and making mistakes and getting hurt and healing and living this life in a real way. I don't have the energy to waste, and I don't have the interest in losing myself in that fog of information that is all just basically there to blind you and to keep you from standing strong in your own source of power, like standing in yourself in the moment and realizing the power that you actually have to manipulate the world or manipulate yourself or whatever. That it keeps you away from your source of power, which is all actually in the present moment. Because the thing is, we already do this. I can be completely disconnected from uh, corporate media and news media. The human mind, I think, or at least my mind, automatically does that anyway. I'm already like daydreaming about imaginary scenarios that aren't even a part of the present moment. And sometimes they're negative, and sometimes I catch myself, and it's like, why are you thinking about this? Why are you imagining this? It's like a fantasy about an argument with somebody that's never even happened, and it doesn't even make sense. Sometimes I catch myself imagining negative scenarios and bringing myself down. So if I do that already, and that's a battle, or maybe battle isn't the right word, but if that's just a process that happens in me already that I need to work on to find peace with and become a more calm person, watching this news media and ramping all of that up and then them feeding me even more imaginary shit just to float around in my head, it doesn't make sense. It seems like a very bad decision to do that. In my life, it is a bad decision to do that. I live a simple life. The older I get, the more I want to live a more simple life. And I am increasingly living a more simple life as I grow older. Though I have some issues. I do have, admittedly, addictions to technology. I do not aim to eliminate these technologies from my life, but I do need to learn how to control myself a bit more. But anyway, I think I'm going to stop talking for now. The overall message is just turn off the TV. And it might also be get off the internet, get offline. Because in today's world, many people don't watch the TV and they get this news media from the internet. But the point of the video, I guess, is to say that, or encourage you to pay attention to what you're doing, basically. If you're engaged in consuming information from whichever source it may be, and that information just makes you feel bad. And it's not all about feeling good and ignoring bad feelings, but if it's this thing that can just consistently disturbs you in your life, why are you doing that? Or if you can consider it your passion, this interest you have in that kind of information, if you would consider it your passion, why are you not doing something to change it? Why are you not actually engaging with, I guess, the source material and trying to, I don't know, change the world or whatever it may be, change a certain problem? You can't just sit there and always focus on this problem that you have no control over and just let it drag you down. I would suggest to all of us to use our energy more wisely and focus on the problems that we can control and that we do have access to, and start making progress in those areas. But you would be surprised, maybe. Again, I'm imagining the people that I know, the family members, the elders that I know. They might be surprised. We all might be surprised how much more free time we would have to work on ourselves or pursue our personal passion or work on our hobby or just simply work more and make more money. Whatever your goals are, you might be surprised how much more time you have and how much more clarity of mind you have when you cut yourself off from these sources of these mainstream sources of information that are all, at the end of the day, it seems locked in with major corporations. It's all about advertising and keeping you hooked and keeping you in a space where they can show you more advertisements or advertise more, not only products but advertising perspectives. In a way, it's really creepy shit. I just hope that more people realize that, because I thought, whatever age I was when I started to figure this out, 15 or 16, um, I didn't think this many years later all of those family members would still be in the same place, still sort of like sucking on the teat of corporate media. It's beyond disturbing, and it's beyond sad and tragic. But I have had to accept it and move on. This is just, I guess, a little a video or audio, in this case, audio transmission to the internet to just tell everyone to kind of wake up when it comes to this topic. Really pay attention to what you are allowing to enter your mind or what you are putting in your own mind. Because we do certainly have control over that. Nobody is sitting you down and forcing you to interface with these or interact with these sources of media. Anyway, have a great day, you guys. I'll see you next time.